Hello, I'm Joshua Clifford, and this is a short presentation on my arrangement titled Studio Ghibli Suite. It's a compilation of different pieces, all composed originally by Joe Hisaishi. There are 4 sections. First is One Summer's Day from Spirited Away, then Merry-Go-Round of Life from Howl's Moving Castle, followed by A Town with an Ocean View from Kiki's Delivery Service, and finishing with The Wind Forest from My Neighbor Totoro. Let's take a closer look at the arrangement. The piece opens with 4 pianissimo bars of block chords across the ensemble as an introduction to the first section. I will use a clear and active preparatory gesture so that these move simultaneously, whilst retaining a sense of lightness by using Laban's float approach. The final chord is sustained with a fermata, and I've chosen to do a Luftpause here, followed by a clear cue to communicate the slightly faster new tempo. From bars 5 to 9, the flutes, violins, and trumpets share the melody. In rehearsals, I would ask these instruments to play together without the accompanying players to ensure that the phrasing is together. Then once again with the rest of the ensemble to find the right dynamic balance. To demonstrate the crescendo through bar 9 to 10, I will find a lower ictus point and a little more vertical and horizontal arm movement. Bar 10 itself is a transition bar with an immediate jump to a new tempo and time signature, which I will conduct with appropriate rebound so the ensemble can subdivide accurately, and a clear cue for the left-hand piano note which kicks off the section. A similar melody accompaniment texture continues in section 2. Pizzicato in the lower strings and staccato for the piano left hand, vocalist, lower brass, alto saxes, and melodica will be rehearsed together to ascertain rhythmic accuracy. The musical identity from bar 11 to 15 is quite playful, brisk, and bright, so I've decided to use the Laban dab technique here, which I also think will help with the ensemble's internal pulse. When the lower strings return to arco playing in bar 16, the other accompanying instruments now have staccato tenuto markings for the next 3 bars. I will move, therefore, to a dab press Laban gesture to embody this change. For the central melody, I would also initially rehearse this on its own. I want this line to have a soaring sense of lyricism, and the feel for these players should almost be one in a bar. It is difficult, gesturally, to demonstrate such differing styles altogether, so after separating each part in rehearsal, I would combine them and wait to see what the result would be. Ideally, the 2 elements combine with balance and attention to detail for their own lines. This may take a few repeats though, and some ingenuity from myself at the podium. Halfway through bar 17, a ritardando is indicated, and my gesture will grow slightly larger to ensure the ensemble stays together. The fermata, which ends section 2 in bar 19, is a complete caesura, and the preparatory gesture for the quaver upbeat into bar 20, and thus section 3, will embody the new tempo direction of crotchet equals 90 and the new time signature of 4/4. The ensemble must play softer at the start of this section, so rebound from my ictus will be more contained, but a sweetness is needed to accurately depict the mood of the score, so I will add a soft smile to my face, hopefully translating to a kinder and wistful approach from the ensemble. This section, which goes through to bar 27, opens up from an orchestration perspective, as there are now 3 layers intertwining. These are marked with lead pencil numbers on the score. This section is in 2 halves, the first being softer, and the second building through to the climactic end of the section. In this second half, some of the melody instruments have been given some lower mordants. I anticipate these will require distinct focus in rehearsals. The full ensemble crescendo up to the E major 9 chord in bar 27 needs to brim with energy, which I will emulate through my physical alignment and expression. The pause on this chord will be another Luftpause, allowing the woodwind and brass instruments a moment to breathe and releasing the tension of the 9th chord to melt into the final section of the arrangement. Beats 3 and 4 of bar 27 are the beginning of section 4. The strong accent marks notated are less about dynamic and relate more to musical strength. From bar 28 to 35 in the new key of E major, 4 distinct lines emerge, labelled also with lead pencil numbers. Here also the marking con rubato appears, as I feel that this section needs quite a generous amount of give and take, which I am confident I can navigate through spontaneously. Because of the complexity of each of these lines individually, I'll rehearse them apart from one another, then slowly stack each layer up again, always listening for a cohesive and balanced ensemble sound. The upbeat to 36 through to 39 is marked allargando, and I'll inhibit Laban's ring action in my conducting to communicate this. Additionally, I'll use active and passive gesture here to cue the syncopation. Bar 40 lands on a unison forte piano note, given to the ensemble via a strong preparatory gesture, with the tension of that movement disappearing gradually to reflect a diminishing dynamic level. The final 2 bars of the work require precise cueing on each crotchet beat, during which another ritardando is occurring to build up the final chord structure. A closing full caesura fermata concludes the arrangement. Thank you.